Hello and welcome to another reaction video here on my channel. My name is ChaosMole and today we are taking a look at the new Lost Ark Encyclopedia Endgame video, which was just released a few minutes ago. This is 10 minutes of just, I think it's Force strategy, which is actually talking about the Endgame at, in Lost Ark. And this is an official video, so we will take a look at that and then I will add some of my own ideas to the whole shebang, and maybe some of the things they have missed, or maybe they have really covered everything which is to do in the game. We will see about that. So let's watch this together, because, well, I haven't really watched this myself, and that should be very interesting. So,
what's going on, everyone?
This.
Welcome back. So today we'll be taking a close look at some of the numerous
dungeon
PvE
raids and island strongholds.
Interesting. In Lost Ark. This video is sponsored by Amazon. They wanted me to give you a bit of a rundown for this particular aspect of the game, and I'll be doing just that, focusing exclusively on some of the PvE
so we have the Guardian raids,
we'll be doing, which includes things like
Chaos dungeons,
raids, and your island estate,
and the stronghold.
Stronghold. So if you're just getting started with the game for the very first time, or
Abyss
you
dungeon.
want a bit of a refresher, hopefully you will find this video useful. So here's a basic rundown of each of these things. Starting us off is Chaos Dungeons.
This is the first thing you're unlocking.
The primary starting point in the gearing up process.
This is the first thing you
unlock. Want to do first thing once you unlock it. Chaos Dungeons take you through these 3 separate stages where you have to fight back waves
and you want
of
to
enemies.
do it twice to get like all the resources out of it
as you unlock the higher tiers with different types of enemies on them. But fundamentally, it's all kind of the same thing. You will see groups of enemies. You will smash those enemies.
Just kill a lot of enemies.
It's
pretty simple.
You simply have to beat a 5-minute timer on each stage to progress on to the next one. Now, like I said, Chaos Dungeons drop that base level gear, and this is what you'll be starting out in that post-50 endgame gearing process. Not only do they drop the gear, they also drop the resources needed to upgrade that gear, as well as accessories and a handful of other useful items, which is pretty much the case for all of the endgame PvE activities. It all drops stuff that you need for some other aspect of the game. On average, a Chaos Dungeon takes roughly 5 to 10 minutes to finish. These can be done twice a day, and you can do them solo or in a group. And just in general, you will want to do the highest level of these that you have unlocked and can actually complete. As
let me jump in here very quickly. You can do them more than twice. You will not get the resources anymore to upgrade your equipment, but you will get another resource you can then turn into an NPC to get more of the resources you need. There is a weekly limit to that, and it's not really the most efficient way to do it when you do the math, to make that very clear, because I can already see some people saying in the comments, but no, it's not the most efficient thing you can do. Yes, I just wanted to point out that there is still a reason technically, not necessarily, but technically, to maybe do Chaos Dungeons 3 times or 4 times for whatever reason that is, right? There might be moments where you can do that. It's definitely not the most efficient way, and it's definitely not something a lot of people would do at any given point, but it is a possibility.
The higher level you do, the better the rewards. Okay, so the next major type of content are known as Guardian raids, and these are actually really similar to Monster Hunter battles. You're dropped in on a map, and
they're basically Monster Hunter battles. This is the easiest way to explain it.
In fact, there's even a flare item in the game, which will temporarily show you the location of the boss. Now, when you find it, you and your team have to just try to take it out before the timer expires. And yeah, that's it. It's basically just a big old boss fight. Typically, these bosses will have several large telegraphed attacks.
There's no thresh mobs. Well, there are some thresh mobs here, but they're not.
As you take down their health. Now, ideally, you will eventually want to learn the different phases and telegraph attacks of the boss, so you can know what's coming and when to dodge. Especially since getting hit with these can incapacitate you for some time, which will open you up to taking lots of damage. Now, occasionally there will be some trash mobs in the area, but for the most part, it is just a time trial style boss clear,
They don't
essentially.
matter.
And these can be quite tough because there are several restrictions put in place. For one, the game limits the number of times you and your team can revive, along with the consumables that you can use. So really, you do have to try to play carefully,
and
try
you have
to avoid
5
damage, and
health
especially
potions.
try not to die. Like Chaos Dungeons, Guardian Raids should be done twice a day. They reward accessories and other useful items like gems, cards, books, and runes.
Yep.
Most importantly, though, is that they drop upgrade materials that are not bound to your character, meaning that you can send them off to an alt or even sell them on the auction house to get some gold, which is primarily what makes doing Guardian Raids so valuable. One of my favorite endgame activities, though, is the tower. This is a solo challenge activity where you have to basically climb the floors of a tower. These will get progressively harder and grant you better rewards. So you'll start out on floor 1, you're given some objective, normally kill groups of enemies or a specific enemy
We will talk
or
about that in a
boss,
second.
and then if you complete that within the set time limit, you will grant the reward and then unlock the next floor, so on and so on. So for example, in my most recent run, I entered floor 1, they asked me to destroy a stone. As a reward, I got this deck of cards, and then I went on to floor 2, where I had to destroy these hordes of enemies. That it gave me another deck of cards. Floor 3 asked me to defeat a named enemy for the deck of cards. Floor asked me to defeat large groups of enemies, another deck of cards, and then finally on floor 5,
Lots of cards.
I had to defeat a boss, and as a result, I got this proficiency potion. So it basically continues this way. You'll get rewards every time you clear a floor. You'll unlock the next one, and usually that 5th floor is going to give a unique and most of the time more valuable reward. The climb continues, and as you do, it gets more difficult, even requiring higher item levels in order to complete them.
He gets murdered.
But one of the major reasons to run these towers is that it gives you these skill point potions as a reward, and you basically need
but
these
not too
extra
many. I want to throw this in here because I'm pretty sure he is not touching on it. Why would he? Because this is like a video about this is the end game which is waiting for you, right? But the reality is those towers, depending on where you are in the end game grind, like as somebody who is just starting end game and where you're trying to get as many upgradable resources as possible, the tower is not necessarily the best way to do it either. Like, I'm not saying that the tower is useless or anything like that. Far from it. It really, really depends on where you are in your endgame grind right now, and then the tower becomes more important. I would even go so far to say that the further you are into your upgrade grind in the endgame, the more important the tower becomes, and you actually get a few things which can help you to get like the little extra out of your character, but they are just far more better and easier ways to boost your item level in the end game through other means. So the tower is more like a, okay, I've really done everything right now I can do or can do today. What could I do? And the tower would be the answer.
Points to max out your skill trees, as just hitting level 50 doesn't cut it. You still need more skill points to max out the abilities that you're using. The next major type of PvE content
that can be very helpful.
Abyssal dungeons.
Like,
these are basically just harder end game versions of.
Again, like I like to do the tower whenever I'm done with my resource farming, and always in between. Like whenever I'm done with my daily routine, like the tower is one of the last things I really do. And yeah, that's basically it.
The types of dungeons that you encounter while leveling up.
So those
now,
are the
for
first
each of these activities that we've talked about so far, the Chaos Dungeons, Guardian Raids, Tower, and Abyssal Dungeons,
can
you
all be
are
done
doing
alone,
all of this
besides
to
of the
collect
Abyssal
gear,
ones.
accessories, currencies, materials, and a plethora of other useful items for character progression. Also, for most of these, as you progress and get higher item level by upgrading your gear, you then unlock access to higher tiered versions of each of these. Your gear progresses, you get to do harder versions of each of these activities, which gives you better gear to upgrade, unlocking harder versions of those activities, and that process
They made
continues.
Tier 1 and Tier
That
2
is
harder in
basically
South Korea a while
the ladder
ago.
that you climb, the gear treadmill,
And
in
the same will
Lost
happen
Ark.
here.
Other PvE content in the game
Because we
comes
don't
in
have,
the form of these world events.
like, the
These
Endgame
include
stuff.
things like Chaos Gates, Field Bosses, Adventure Islands, Ghost Ships, and a variety of other just world activities that you can do, and that becomes periodically available throughout the course of any given day.
And they can give you
there's
tons
an
of
in-game
resources.
tracker that's located in the upper left-hand corner of the UI that shows you exactly what events are currently active and what events are coming up. It shows you where the event is located as well as the rewards
Not
that
always,
they give.
but
So
most of the
depending on
time.
what type of resources or currencies that you're after at any given time, like, you know, what aspect of the game are you focused on progressing and trying to acquire these things for, that is going to inform which of these world events and activities that you want to participate in. I also want to briefly
So the Abyss Dungeons, very quickly, like everything he has been shown so far, besides of the Abyss Dungeons, are completely doable alone. You can do everything on your own. Abyss Dungeons, on the other hand, you can't. You have to do them with 4 man. That's how it works. And you also have to unlock them by, even if you reach level 50, like you cannot go immediately into the Abyss Dungeon, you have to follow the main quest. You have to follow the main quest for some time. You have to finish up Vern, and then you can go into the Abyss Dungeons. Just to make that clear.
Participate in. I also want to briefly touch on the sailing and estate or stronghold systems. So first off, sailing, you unlock this around level 35, roughly halfway through the leveling process. Initially, you just use it to travel to the different continents, but later on and in the end game, there are just a host of other activities and things to do that are associated with sailing. Most of the game's map, in fact, consists of this giant ocean, and that ocean is dotted with various islands all over the place. So you're going to sail around going to these islands, and they basically function as just additional locations to get quests that reward currencies and resources. And then there's also the stronghold system. This is basically instance player housing. You can add items to it to like decorate the island, so you can set up like a bed and a chair in different locations.
If you reach level 50 and you want to get some tons of resources right from the get-go, go Panda Island and Shadow Island.
This comes from a few different aspects. First, there
Look
is
for the
the
Panda
laboratory.
Island
This
and
is
the
where you
Shadow
get
Island.
a lot of upgrades and progression for your stronghold specifically. The research for this is done here. Things like development of the manor, expedition storage, opening up different regions and cells.
You unlock
building
this as level
development,
25.
unlocking new recipes and blueprints, and a host of other things are all done at the laboratory. And for the most part, these require wood and ore that you will be acquiring through gathering. Next is...
Yes. So a quick note, unlock it at level 25 and do things you can already do there. Like send out your sailors, send out your crew on missions already, because you can already gather stuff, you already can gather resources. And it's a bit like if you have ever played World of Warcraft and you remember the stronghold there you had in Wallets of Draenor, right? It's the same system. You send them out on a mission, they come back. It's like a mobile game or like a browser game where you send somebody out for 12 hours, for 16 hours or whatever, and then they come back with the resources. And that's the same thing you are doing here. And you want to do that basically immediately when you unlock that, because it can just run in the background, really. Gathering resources, we will talk about that when there will be something about crafting in this.
Is the workshop, and this is essentially the game's crafting system. Here you can make potions, bombs, grenades, capes, and a host of other useful items. For the most part, these require herbs and mushrooms that you get while gathering. And then lastly is the headquarter system.
Yeah, we will talk about crafting when we get into that. There's a lot to explain and a lot to talk through.
That you acquire, go out and complete these
and
tasks.
There's a lot of things you can do.
They will reward you with various resources and items, and you can turn some of this stuff in to get other items in the game That's really what this game is. A lot of different currencies and items that you're collecting by doing different things. And that more or less does it for this video. A look at some of the basic endgame systems in the game. What's really interesting though is that this is really just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the PvE and the endgame. There are a host of other things that you will unlock and gain access to. And as we move through the various tiers and updates in Lost Ark, because remember, this is a game that's already launched in other regions, we're going to start off with the base version. We're going to have access to these core systems that I talked about here in this video, but more and more stuff will be coming out over time. But even more so, more and more stuff becomes available as you progress your character and upgrade your gear, getting that higher item level. And
there is the
unlocking higher
there is the after the Abyss dungeon, we have the Void dungeons, which is something we will not get right from the get-go. The Void dungeons are the true endgame raids. They are the real raids, right? And that is something we will probably not get in the next few months, 3 months, 6 months. I don't even know if we are getting them in the first year. I don't know what the plan exactly is when it comes to updates, but at least 3 months. Yep, at least 3 months. Then the boss rush and the cube exists, and at least the cube was available in the beta, so we already know that exists. But that's not really something you can force. So if you, I will make a video about this. But TLDR, if you want to get into the cube, you need a ticket, and the ticket drops somewhere in the Chaos dungeon per random, right? And then you can go into the cube. That's basically how it works. But you cannot really force it. It's pure luck. Did he forget anything? He didn't talk about the upgrade system. I think this will be a specific video because there are a few things you have to look out for. But I think he actually covered everything which is to do at the beginning. The one thing I really want to add, when you reach level 50 and you're wondering why you do not have unlocked like all the stuff he just talked about, follow the main quest, continue that, and also take the purple quests in Vern, which is the city where you normally reach 50. Like some people reach 50 before Vern, but that doesn't matter because even if you reach level 50 before you reach Vern, you cannot do endgame. You have to reach Vern, and then you have to turn in the quest, and then there will be an NPC who tells you, hey, you are the new guy, let me show you around and let me show you all the things which is endgame, right? So yeah, just reaching level 50 before Vern doesn't do the thing. So yeah, but that was cool. This should definitely help a lot of people to get at least a feeling about what waits for them when they are reaching level 50, because Lost Ark can be very overwhelming the moment you reach 50. Like, the things you have done in the leveling process is very different to what you do starting with 50. So it is very interesting to see how people react to it, because when they are leveling, a lot of people are like, it's all right, yeah, this is pretty easy, this is no biggie, whatever. And then they're reaching level 50 and they're basically getting overwhelmed with a lot of like things they can do now, and there are a lot of resources coming in, a lot of like gameplay elements will be unlocked, and they're like, oh my god, what is this, right? So having a video which is slowly preparing you of the things which are coming is definitely a good start. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and my commentary. If you want to see more of it, then I would appreciate, and if you enjoyed this, of course, I would appreciate if you might consider to leave a like on your way out. And if you want to see daily gaming news, reaction videos, more Lost Ark videos, I can promise you already that, I would also appreciate if you might consider to subscribe to the channel. That would help me out a great deal. And if you ever want to catch me live, you can do so from Monday to Friday, starting at 9 a.m. ET, which is 2 p.m. UK time and 3 p.m. Central European time. And you can find me, no, not on Twitch. You can find me on trovo.live/ChaosMole. And you will find the link in the video description. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Stay safe.